You are watching Access LaPorte County Channel 97. Coming up next is the September 19th meeting of the Trail Creek Town Council. You can find more information for this meeting at www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Opening the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, and it's 7 p.m. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I see that we are missing Mr. Kubick this evening, and Ms. Denham. Hopefully all is well with them for the next meeting, and we will miss their presence tonight. We do have some mail here that we'll get to the council members later tonight. Moving to the agenda, we have approval of the minutes from the August meeting. Has everyone had a chance to review those minutes?
Yep.
Any questions or comments from the council? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve the minutes from the August 15th, 2023 meeting?
Motion.
Motion from Warren. Do we have a second?
Second.
A second from Pete. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, moving on. Approval of the fund report. Has everyone had a chance to review the fund report? Sounds like we'll take a moment to review the fund report.
Yeah.
And I don't believe there was anything that stood out there. I did speak with Jocelyn briefly earlier, and she didn't mention anything specific. Any questions or comments from the council?
I'm good.
Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve the fund report?
I make a motion to approve the fund report.
Thank you, Sharon. And
Second.
a second from Warren. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on to payment of the bills. And again, Jocelyn didn't mention anything that stood out there.
I'd like to know where we are on health insurance. That would be good.
So I did ask about that. She said she didn't have anything specific or concrete other than the one quote from Michiana, but again, she didn't have anything back from the underwriters yet, so it wasn't a concrete quote that meant anything, really didn't mean anything at all. It was just a kind of a general quote they could give to anybody without the information from the underwriters. It really has no teeth. So with that, if there are no questions or comments on the bills, do we have a motion to approve?
Move to approve the bills for August.
Thank you,
2023.
Pete. And second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Sharon. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. The only correspondence we had was from AIM, or Accelerate Indiana Municipalities, and those are usually just advertisements for continuing education. So moving on to MS4, I know that there was an audit today, and we do have an ordinance that was created today by our attorney. That's actually on the agenda under new business, so we'll hit that later, if that's okay.
Sure.
I don't believe that there was any major findings earlier today with the MS4 audit. I haven't seen a report from that yet, from Global Surveying. Have you heard anything?
I spoke to Shem regarding the ordinance in general as well as the fees, and no, I didn't think there was any anticipation that we weren't on track.
Okay.
So it's in order as far as
So I think everything was as expected today. Okay. I'm sure they'll have a few suggestions for us moving forward, but nothing major. So with that, we'll move on to our attorney.
I do not have much to update other than everybody got copies of the 10-day letters I sent. We did receive some immediate attention from the one of the former owners, which did prove out what we thought, because we received a call from that charity I think they do things with the homeless that's based out of Illinois originally, but it's just not recorded that deed yet. I don't know if that's tactical or not, so we resent. So everybody's still within that time frame, and then after that, you'll have some decisions to make. My recommendation would be that after that time, if we don't receive correspondence or any responses, that authorize the chief and or Mr. Thomas to issue citations that are updated and current as to conditions, and then from there it puts us on track to start taking some enforcement actions, and you can decide at a future meeting whether you want to initiate some cleanup yourself, clean the properties, etc., or by the citations. That gives us a start and the ability to take some court actions and enforce them as well. And there are some avenues that we can take going forward. You know, of course, I never recommend litigious first, but these are very old issues that are recurring, and they dabble or ignore. So I think that we've put that standing order out there with the 10-day letters. I think we issue citations, and that gives us the beginning of what we need to do. Hopefully they'll respond. That one I do, this split, that's the most troublesome one. I do think, based on my previous communication with the new owner of the unrecorded, that's evidenced by the unrecorded deed, their tact, as communicated to me, was going to be approaching them to make an offer, buy us out, or we'll buy you out so that we can move forward and make this property. So that would be progress if that actually happens.
Just for food for thought too, it would cost estimated about 10 grand to demo each building, just so we know.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Okay.
Cool.
Do you want to comment any more or update on?
I do. We have not resent publications. We are waiting. I spoke to the architect today and waiting for updated plans, which he said he should have by Friday. That'll include lighting and the option, things that we need in the bid package. So that is not completed yet, but I've been assured that he anticipates to complete that by Friday.
Okay.
So hopefully next week we'll run the,
I gave him, generally the process is very good about, if you have it in by noon on a certain day, they can generally get it in the next day. So I've laid that out to try to give him some understanding of what are, some of the notices that need to go out for the invitations to bid, interplay with what he's doing and the dates, and I also gave him here's the leeway we need. Mondays there are no papers, and the 2 publications that need to go out. So I'm hoping next Tuesday or Wednesday at the latest, but that depends on the confirmation of them being done on Friday as approving to. Mr. Schott spoke to him today, and he knows where we are and anxious to get it rolling.
We're all anxious.
we are,
Thought it would have been started by now.
yeah. We were really hoping to get the ball rolling by now, so, okay. All right, moving on to our engineer.
Engineering. The CCMG project is pretty much more than 90% done. They finished the asphalt paving and concrete pouring. There's still forms out that need to be taken down, and then of course lawn restoration and landscaping, that type of thing still has to be done. I think we're a little ahead of schedule on that one. Which brings up a question is, do you guys want to do CCMG for next year? If you do, then we have to do a new asset management plan and get that into LTAP before December 1st. And that's going to include, the streets that we just did with the CCMG project this year. This has to go into the Pazer report and say that instead of being a really crummy road, they are now fixed up and they're really good roads.
Okay.
So we have to do that. Plus you have to go through the rest of the existing streets because they've got another year of wear, another winter that they went through since the last time. So maybe some of those streets that were moderately good are now worse than they were before, and maybe a priority to fix with next year's grant money. So if you want to do that, we need your authorization to go ahead and start doing that.
Okay. Are we all in agreement that we'd like to do CCMG again next year?
Great.
Do we have a motion to authorize?
Make a motion to authorize.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. Do we have a
I
second?
second that.
Thank you, Pete. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody. You now have your authorization to move forward.
Thank you very much. Just as a reminder, whatever this costs, and historically they've been giving 75% of the money to the town, and the town has to make up the 25%, so be aware you still have to come up with that 25%.
Right. Right. So once we figure out which roads, then we can figure out what the.
Right. Yeah, we have to have they call it the AMP, the Assessment Management Plan to LTAP by December 1st. And then the grant letting, the first one is in the end of January. So there's only like 2 months with Christmas and New Year's in the middle of that. So we'll have to make those decisions within that time period, get stuff on paper, and have it sent over to the grant people for their assessment.
Okay.
And I think that's all I've got.
All right. Thank you. I don't see anyone here from the Parks Department, but Sharon, do you have a report?
I spoke with someone, I didn't attend the last meeting they had, but I did get information what they're doing.
Okay.
They are working on getting new swings
Mhm.
for both the, playgrounds.
Okay.
They're trying to get the prices for them.
Okay.
And they're also having a fall festival, October 21st,
Mm-hmm.
from 1 to 5.
Okay.
And that's all, everything's going pretty good. We discussed a lot of things, and I think everything's gonna be great. And the next meeting will be September 27th
Okay.
at 5:30.
Okay. And I know Steve and I have been working on the signs for Pritz Park, and they are a royal blue with green on them,
Okay?
with kind of a tree design in the background. Those should be being ordered fairly soon, so they're pretty sharp looking, and hopefully we'll have those ready to go shortly. So,
Good. Thank you.
and then we'll set up a little something with the park board and Mr. Pritz so that they can be unveiled properly. I don't see our building inspector here, so we'll move on to planning and zoning. Any report? How about our police department? Good evening.
Good evening. Really, the only thing I've got is just want to mention, we're going to do the trick or treat next year, and just asking you to nail down a date next year.
Next month?
Nail down a date so that we can start getting some people lined up, and that's the only thing I've got.
Since
Did you ask that question last month?
he did,
He did.
and since he asked,
I thought it was the weekend.
Well, there was some discussion about doing it on the 29th or the
Right.
31st.
since you asked, how does everyone feel about the 29th, that Sunday?
I'm good. 29th.
I'm good with that.
It's fine.
All right, so let's go with the 29th. I think just for people who work, and I think for families in general,
Yep.
I think that's a better date. It gives people more time to, thank you, Warren, to, feel free to put that on my calendar.
You want my phone too, Warren?
And the time of that's gonna be what?
4 to 6.
4 to 6.
Okay.
Well, I'd have it done before it starts getting too
Right.
dark.
That way we hit daylight hours and it's not, it'll be a little easier in general.
Gonna try to have a little bit, we're gonna try to do the trunk or treat, see if there's any interest in that. I've talked to a few people about, bringing different small displays down, nothing major, but just some attraction down there. We have
Okay,
a lot of people down there, so it'd be really nice
Yeah.
to see them wandering throughout the park.
sounds good. So officially then, trick or treat in Trail Creek on October 29th from 4 to 6.
Sounds good to me.
All right,
Thank you much.
perfect, thank
You guys have
you.
anything for me?
No, do you have anything for us?
No, that was it, just,
All right,
I
perfect,
know the radar signs have been ordered that we had talked about, so.
okay.
Prosecutor's office is buying us some radar signs, I don't know if everybody knows that. I am not buying them. The look I got. Four signs.
curious, I think that's great for the town.
Yeah, there are 4 post-mounted radar signs.
All going on Johnson Road.
All 4 going on Johnson Road. And 2 in the north third and 2 in the south third, dividing lines somewhere in that area.
So these signs, or you say sign, but they're a system that alarms you on what speed you're.
It just reminds you, this is how fast you're going, and then the actual speed is above it.
Yeah.
The posts that they go on are 12-foot posts. They're pretty majestic, but they're gonna stand out and they're gonna look, you're gonna see it. They've got the red and blue flashing lights. Operates almost identical to what we have.
Yeah.
Where if you go too fast, it cuts out, so you can't beat the high score. So,
Darn it.
but it goes in order, so we'll have those in the next 4 to 5 weeks.
So
I don't know if you wanted to say that on camera.
If anybody doesn't know that that's the going trend now, then they're not watching any viral videos.
So the intentions are to get it in before the frost and all that.
Yeah, and it won't be bad, because we can actually go set the posts first, because it's the 2-inch tube that we mount the stop signs and street signs on.
Yeah.
And it's a 2-piece system. They put the first piece in, and then when they get the other piece, they just set it on top and bolt it to it. So we can put our first 4 posts in where we're gonna put them, and then regardless.
And you're operated with solar panels, charge racks, okay.
Correct. And they can be moved, although we don't want to. I think the idea would be to, for us to somehow in the future add 1 or 2 to our arsenal each year. Want to get some permanent ones by the park, some permanent ones, on some of the problems. So that's the goal, is to start getting 1 or 2 a year, but not right away.
But adding them in, and then having the mobile sign as well, so that we can move that around.
Yep.
Very nice. Very nice.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your support.
Moving on to the street department. Although our interim street department commissioner, Mr. Baker, is not here tonight, he does have some repairs that need to be made to the door on their building to the tune of about $3,400. If that door is not repaired or replaced prior to leaf season and the snow coming up, we might be in some big trouble. So I have a copy of the estimate actually on my phone if you'd like to look at it. It was sent via email to the council members, and Sharon, I know that you don't have access to your email, but if you wanted to look at it, I know it's a little small.
Okay.
But if you wanted to see it, you're more than welcome to look at this. This does, like I said, include replacement, including all parts and labor. Of course, tax exempt, but it's $3,400. It's for both doors, front and back, on that building. From Michigan City Garage door. I'm not exactly sure where in the budget we will find this money, but again, if we don't find it, we're gonna have some big trouble. So, I'm sure that we can figure out with Josh Lee where exactly to take that from in the budget, but we do need a motion to approve that expenditure. So,
I'll make a motion.
thank you. To approve the expenditure of the $3,400 for the replacement of the doors in the street department building. Correct? Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Sharon. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. And anything for ADA this evening?
Not so much for ADA yet. We can include our sign for the welcome sign too while we're in that
Okay.
same area. Say that we had a meeting with school
Okay,
and the kids. There's about 12 of them. And it's a combination of freshmen to seniors. And they seem to be pretty excited to get going on this sign. I told them they got a little time. We want to get it up, I don't know, I think March 18th or something like that is the official 100th.
Is that the 100?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Sometime early
It's in March.
first quarter.
But I told them, I said, obviously we're gonna do it early next year, maybe in the early spring. So, plans are that if we can get a spokesperson from one of the class members, which I told them that we were on TV when we have our meetings, and they, that discouraged them. But we
Should've told
I said, we need to have a spokesperson next month
Okay.
to meet with us, to show us what they got so far, and just a starting point, and then we can go, weed out the ones that, we don't want. It's a starting point,
Okay.
so,
Number
number?
of signs?
I think we had 5 go to 7.
Correct. Yeah,
And they did
we don't
ask.
have one up in this corner, we really should, up by the old Woodruff, and we don't have one coming off of Pine Tree.
Yeah,
And those are
Yeah.
two.
they did ask, which was kind of interesting, but I said, nah, I don't know about that yet. But they were asking if we would want to come up with more than one design.
Should all be the same design.
So it's like, I think we probably want all
Actually,
one.
the eggs, I don't like when risking the boulevard either.
So anyway, that's what's happening. Next month is the target. They will be here.
That would be great. Thank
That's what
you.
they got.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Seeing as we have nothing in old business, we will move on to new business with the 2024 budget's first reading. And Trista, we will have you lead us through that.
Okay.
So thank you to Trista from Sunder and Associates for being here to lead us through that, and then we'll have Jocelyn not being able to be here this evening.
I think you've all received what is called the Form 3 by the DLGF, the Department of Local Government Finance. It is the notice to taxpayers. It is now in the publication. We no longer have to put it in the newspaper because it is posted online. And so tonight then is, because of that publication, tonight is your first reading on the budget for 24, excuse me. During that first reading, I suggest that we probably announce the values that are here, if you want to, if that is your custom. Secondly, and most importantly, though, to open the meeting to a public hearing for all of the members of the public that wish to speak to the published numbers. And then close the public hearing. And you are set to vote on the budget, AKA the second reading on the budget, on October 17th, which is your regular meeting in October. Again, at 7 p.m. in this building. And at that time then, council can certainly have further discussion on the various numbers, both for budget and levy, leading to tax rate and things like that at that time.
Do we need to read through these, or?
We can announce them if you'd like, so they're on the video, that'd be fine,
That would be great.
if that's your custom.
Yes, please.
For the Casino Riverboat Fund, a budget estimate has been published of $100,000. There is no property tax levy involved with that fund. The general fund has been published for a budget at $761,705. Levy estimate requested is $522,951. That is a 4% increase over the current tax levy. And that 4% is what the DLGF has published as the appropriate growth for the levy for the town. A statewide average, actually. The local road and street fund, budget is published at $50,000. That is not a property tax supported fund. The motor vehicle highway fund, a budget estimate of $248,041. With a levy, a property tax levy being raised of $141,924. That fund is supported both by property tax and by the state tax distribution that we receive from gas tax. which is why there's such a difference between the budget and the estimated levy. That property tax for that fund is also a 4% increase over this current year's levy. The next three major moves, continuing education and cumulative capital improvement from cigarette tax, are not property tax levy funds, but they are budgeted based on their miscellaneous revenues and their current balances. Major moves is budgeted for $59,305. Continuing education budgeted for $4,000. And the CCI fund, that cigarette tax fund, budgeted at $40,000. The cumulative capital development fund is budgeted at $35,000. It is a levy, property tax levy supported fund. The levy advertised is at $38,410. You will note that that percentage increase is a little bit higher than the 4% based on the fact that that's based on your rate. Your rate remains the same at 0.0448 cents. Because of that standard rate, then the levy can increase a little bit higher percentage. The last four funds are also not property tax based as far as revenue goes. They are miscellaneous revenues. The economic development income tax for the seeded fund is budgeted for $100,000. As you recall, that is the income tax replacement that you receive from the county. The trash fund is published for a budget of $252,847. The American Rescue Act is budgeted at $432,120, which is the current balance in the fund as of June 30th. And then last fund is the Lit Public Safety Fund, again, local option income tax. As you recall, this 23 year is the first year you've received that. It is budgeted for $110,857 for 2024, based on the projected revenue that you are expected to receive.
American Rescue Act, what is that?
That is the money that began back in 2021 from the federal government to every city, county, town, school in the country, based on population, based on as well economic factors of the residents that live in those particular areas. It was given to the town and everyone in what they call tranches, two pieces. The first part in 21, the second part in 2022. There were particular plans that had to be established on how it would be spent based on the federal guidelines that were established. That later was relieved a little bit, made a little more open and allowing any money to be spent toward governmental services as opposed to these specific healthcare and economic income loss like they originally had said.
If we had received under a certain amount, I thought it was.
Yeah, under 10 million.
Right.
Yep, which you did.
Yes.
And the money, the town would have to establish a plan to be able to spend it, which you did. It needs to be spent in total by 2026. If you did not have any money that was yet planned, you need to finish planning to spend that by the end of 2024. I think that you do have your plan in place already. And as of now, there is nothing we've heard about any kind of supplemental money to that, although there is a different grant program in the works with the Biden's, it's not called Major Moves, it's called infrastructure something or other. Have no idea if that will funnel its way down to you yet or not, but once we hear anything, we'll let you know on
Does this
that.
have something to do with the Build Back Better?
It's Build Back
Yeah, I
Better,
forget the name of the whole thing, but
Yep.
yeah.
And the local road and street, where does that fund come from?
Gas tax
It's just, that's it.
from the state of New Hampshire, as well as the gas tax portion under motor vehicle highway. Those uses are restricted and defined by state statute for both of those funds, but
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
you're welcome.
So we'll have our next reading next month, and that's where we'll approve everything.
Public hearing.
Right,
Right now.
that's public hearing. All right, so moving on. We do need to approve a retroactive payment to our interim street.
Before we move forward, you need to open the public hearing.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's good.
Thank you for the reminder. We'll now open the public hearing for public comment. Crickets. Hearing no public comment, we will now close that portion of the meeting. Thank you for all of the comments from our public. And thank you for the reminder.
Good.
All right, moving on to our next agenda item. Retroactively paying our interim street department, Mr. Dave Baker, for his tenure as our interim street department commissioner. Do we have a motion to approve that payment?
Right, make a motion. Okay. Retroactive. Do we know the date?
Thank you. Well, what that is it approves him to receive the street department commissioner pay as long as he's acting as the interim street department,
And the quarterly,
as well as the quarterly, yes.
correct.
As well as the quarterly stipend.
Right.
So he'll receive the same hourly rate as well as the quarterly stipend,
And I'll
yes.
second that motion.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Moving on. We did receive a letter of resignation from Janelle as a park board member. I cannot remember her last name, which escapes me unfortunately. She had to move out of the area, unfortunately, and so we did receive a letter of interest from a Megan Beach as a park board member. I did ask Josh Lean to obtain the political designations and affiliations for all of the board members across the board, not only for the park board, but our other boards as well, to make sure that we're in compliance with those regulations. And she confirmed today that she would obtain those for every board that we have throughout the town, because if we're not in compliance, then we need to set up waivers to make sure that we're in compliance with the state regulations and codes as set forth. However, at this point in time, we need to decide if we would like to welcome Ms. Beach as a park board member for the town of Trail Creek.
I make a motion to accept Megan Beach as the new park board member.
Thank you, Sharon. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Warren. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that motion passes. All right, and the MS4 ordinance.
So the MS4 ordinance that you've all received, it was sent from Global in June. It is, what I would recommend is if you were inclined to pass on it this evening, you couldn't vote, and nor would I recommend that you do that this evening because you don't have a full council present. It is in the process of what you're doing with Global in terms of on the to-do list. So this ordinance needs to be passed. I hate to use the term can, but you don't have much leeway. It is the proposed ordinance from the state. It includes the necessary provisions. There is a fee provision that was removed, and at some point that's another consideration that you're going to have as the coming months, but there'll be more on that from Global and myself. So that form of ordinance was proposed by Global. As you will see, it's missing some code sections. So we need to determine where we want to place that within the code, which it should go in the building code.
So we could table this for this evening and then,
You can, or you could vote to pass it on first reading to move it along. And the only reason I might suggest that you consider that is so that you don't find yourself where you need unanimous board to approve it. And if anything goes on with the audit, I don't think there was any issues. I think they're happy that we're moving along, and as we've talked about, all the towns. So my recommendation would be that you pass that proposed ordinance on first reading. It allows you still to make changes and I will work with Shem to include any comments that you may have before next month, as well as proposing where it should go in the code.
I have no problem.
Okay,
Make a motion to accept. What do you say?
On first reading, the proposed MS4 ordinance on first reading.
okay.
I'll second that.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right. That handles all of our new business for the evening. Any public comment this evening?
He's awfully chatty too.
Our public in general is awfully chatty this evening. The only clerk's comment that we had is Jocelyn did ask if we could schedule a special meeting for insurance, for budget, for the employee policy, and for MS4 fees. The MS4 fees, it sounds like, will be forthcoming, so that will be its own special or separate issue that will be handled, it sounds like.
Then we can add, it doesn't hurt to add, and I'll follow up with Global to see if they'll be prepared to present anything, because that's gonna be a little more elaborate, but that request may have come out of the meeting today.
Okay. But if we could schedule a special meeting then, more for the insurance, budget, and employee policy, kind of get some things wrapped up before the year end. Doesn't have to be all at one time, because I think the employee policy really should be its own.
Yeah, it's gonna be extensive. What are
I see
we
some letters on your calendar.
looking at potentially doing?
I think the budgets and insurance kind of need to be a little bit earlier rather than later. So we can come back to that if we can schedule the meeting at the end, rather than having that as part of our public meeting. So moving on from the clerk's comment, any council comments this evening?
Yeah, I got one.
Okay,
Something we probably should put on our radar, we haven't, would be, we're getting the roads repaired. And I'm not certain when the last time we've had at least Johnson Road or Cool Spring marked.
I think the last time we had lane marking done on Johnson was a while ago.
It's been about 10 years.
So it's just a thought, put on the radar.
I'm not sure what the striping would cost.
Very
It
expensive.
was
It is really
between
expensive.
10 and 15,000 less,
Well, I think I thought it was more than that.
maybe closer to 20.
I don't know.
I got some information that Jocelyn had.
Yeah, I'm not sure how we're gonna fit that in the budget, but,
Right.
well,
So it's on the radar.
yeah, that's definitely a radar item. Thank you for bringing that up. Any other council comments this evening, or did you have one?
In addition, we should, if we're gonna strike, put up new signs,
Yeah,
no passing signs.
yeah. Maybe the plan.
Funny that you should say that. Funny that you should say that. I do have some information on that for you too.
Something I can share.
There is something I'll share with you.
Okay.
Any other requests to add into that wish list that you're,
No, I think that's a good idea.
okay. Okay. So striping on Johnson, did you want to add any other streets to that, or just Johnson Road?
Cool Spring.
I would say Cool Spring.
Okay,
The main arteries.
maybe Johnson and Cool Spring are the two mains.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Hearing nothing else, we
We'll
will,
schedule this meeting, special meeting
we
for
will
the,
momentarily.
Okay.
But hearing nothing else, do we have a motion to adjourn for the evening?
I move to adjourn.
All right.
Second.
Thank you so much. It is 7:39 and we will adjourn for the evening. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your September. We'll see you in October.